Hello, everybody. We are back for another episode of our Dynasty Talk podcast. We do not have Lucas again, so you have to deal with my hosting abilities, which, as we found out last time, are average at best. We have Malcolm and Nate here, though.
Well,
What's
hey
up, Russ?
guys, what's going on? Not a lot going on in our league, so
Yeah,
not a
the
lot to talk
the
about.
league's been very boring, very stale. Not a lot in the message boards. The chat has basically been silent for the past few weeks, so we're gonna try to get some exciting content so you guys can start talking again.
I think most people are focused on the Hard Rock betting app.
Yeah.
That's the real issue.
Oh man. So basically, we're going to go over what our predictions are for the playoffs in this league. Since we're kind of here down at the end, we're gonna go over who our Super Bowl matchup is gonna be and who we think is gonna win. So let's start with Malcolm.
uh, I think the top two in our division are pretty set. I think the other division's three teams are just set. That's done. So it's between basically you and your dad to get that last spot, and I don't know. That's a toss up. I don't really have an opinion on it. Chris, Nate, what were we thinking?
Are you scared to say that you believe you're going to be in the Super Bowl against Fife again, and then project that you're gonna win? Is that why you're afraid to put it out there?
Oh no, I think I think my team is gonna be in the Super Bowl for sure. I think I have the sleeping giant that no one wants to talk about or recognize. So that's cool. Um, but it wouldn't surprise me if we got two from our division again, because the championship's usually not like the two best teams. Not that my team's the best, but you know what I mean. Like it's usually not the two top ones. It's like a good team and then a random team.
So who's your projection? You versus who?
I'm gonna say right now, me versus let's throw Ricky in there.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
actually I was gonna flop to that too.
Well, you
I
can't.
really was.
You can't. You're gonna have to go somewhere else then.
Yeah. Okay.
So why Ricky?
Me,
Yeah.
I think this team's scoring. I like this. I mean, Dak Prescott's scoring nuclear right now. I think
Yeah.
Alvin
Yeah.
Kamara is going to be like a league winner. He's just got a good, solid team. I think his team's going to be consistently scoring like 130.
Yeah.
As a floor. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
pretty
good.
incredible how his team has come back. I mean, he's like Cooks has come back out of nowhere.
Well,
Um,
he had a lot of people
Zach
come
Moss.
back off of injury, and then at the same time, the rest of his team kind of started performing really well. So he had like an influx of points all at the same time as right at the right time. It feels like so. Yeah, I could see it.
Hmm.
And you know who hasn't been scoring on his team is his most valuable player, which is Damian Pierce.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
He is certainly
I
he
spent
is
so
certainly the
much
most
on him.
valuable. I mean that, and I mean Cooper Cup, who actually was his most valuable at the start of the season, just has not been that great. So
Yeah.
if that ever changes, that'll be even more concerning. All right, so Nate, what are
Yeah.
your
So,
projections now that it's not
um,
Ricky
well, I mean, until the Joe Burrow thing and the injury there, I did have Malcolm and Fief, and
and Nick
I mean, I've
Chubb
since the beginning.
and whoever else he had
Yeah.
injured? Yeah,
So, I mean, I had Malcolm since the beginning of the season winning it all. I'm gonna stick with it and say that Malcolm pulls it off and gets another championship this year. But that is just, you know, me holding my guns, like holding to my guns. Like I'm not gonna waver from my initial pick. So
do you think who's going to get there to play him? Is it still going to be Fife, even with the massive injuries, which has been his problem every year other than last year? So
yeah, I mean, I don't think it is anymore. I think it's either Ricky or Fife, but I would say Ricky just because of how his team's trending right now and Dak's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, I agree. His team's got a very good shot. Um, so mine is going to be similar but different. I honestly think that like this is Eric's year finally. That team's been scoring
Wow.
an outrageous amount the last few weeks. I don't know, man.
Ridiculous amount.
I think he's I think
Ridiculous. And it keeps
he's gonna
happening.
have the big upset in the semifinal if he doesn't win the division, or he's gonna end up having to play one of the fucking other juggernauts early in the like kind of like the route Mal. Pretty much whoever wins our division always has the hardest route. I feel like because they have to play somebody else from our division in the semis. It always turns out. So yeah, like either way, either he's gonna have to beat Malcolm in the semis. I feel like, and I just yeah, I feel like he's gonna finally get there, and I really do. I think Ricky's gonna get there too. So it'd be
I
nice.
mean,
Two first timers, teams that have struggled through the playoffs. I just it feels like they're both kind of gonna get through, especially with the Fife, losing Mark Andrews, losing Chubb, losing Burrow, and now you kind of get like a half-ass Jamar Chase in there too. So it's like, yeah, I don't know
Mhm.
if he has the legs to get there anymore.
and Amari Cooper too, who
Yeah.
has no
Yes.
quarterback.
Exactly. Mari Cooper
Oh
with
yeah,
no
if
quarterback.
Five's team was healthy, I would definitely say he's the favorite by far.
Oh
It's
yeah, I
just
mean his team has been the favorite all year because it's been healthy. Even when it lost Chubb, it was just like, yeah, he'll still be fine. But now it's like, man, I don't know if you can
yeah, he's just
overcome
getting
that.
killed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Tom's team, it still has. It's just there's a lot of players that I feel like are underperforming for him right now. And if those turn around, like Eckler and like those kind of guys, maybe. But I just don't see it. I really do think
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
mean
be
Jonathan
Ricky.
Taylor's injured.
Yeah, but Taylor, yeah, I just don't know if you feel
He
comfortable.
started
Yeah,
he started looking promising and then
yeah, he did.
he got injured again. So
Um,
I mean Tom's team isn't horrible.
no, by no
his
means
team's
is it
good.
horrible. It's his
His team's
team's
really good.
his team is very good. It's just right now I think those other two teams are kind of scoring at a lot higher pace than everyone else, and it just feels like they're gonna continue.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I will say, besides him, like being in our division and leading our division, it is pretty cool to see Eric's team just ball out this year
Yeah,
lately.
yeah, he's just been
Uh,
so consistently plugging along, playing the game, being very quiet in the background the whole time, but like consistently getting better every single year. And now it's just finally like, yeah, that team's tough to beat, especially if Jalen Hurts is going to score two 1 yard touchdowns every week. It's going to be hard to beat him.
because you know Tyreek Hill's
And
gonna get
Tyreek
his
Hill is
like
going to go
20 to 30
absolutely
points.
nuts.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah.
You're welcome for Tyreek Hill, by the way, Eric. And
And CeeDee Lamb.
yeah, no shit. Great at
Oops.
bargaining too. He got Tyreek Hill for a first and a second because nobody else would pay more than that. Well played, sir.
Not to mention the sneaky Trey McBride play, who's
Yeah,
just come around the last couple
Tank,
weeks.
Tank Dell, man. Tank
yeah,
Oh
Dell.
yeah, that's huge too.
huge. So yeah, I'm excited for Eric. To be quite honest with you. All right, so those are our projections. Anybody have anyone think that my dad or I could have an outside chance to make a run? I do. I think I do.
I mean, your team's not fun to play. I didn't have a lot of fun
Yeah, I know.
beating. I'll emphasize
You,
beating.
you and I have both scored probably what over 300 points in our two games combined, and it's been decided by less than what 3 points.
Yeah. That's not ideal. If you just happen not to make it, I wouldn't be upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But no, I mean you're very versed in sneaking into the playoffs and then just looking up like, why the hell is he in the final? This
yeah,
sucks.
yeah. I was telling Nate before we got on here. I was like, man, I was like, don't want to say it too soon. I was like, kind of feels a lot like the first one, where it's just like a man. I just want to get in the playoffs, and then once I got there, I'm like, holy shit, I keep winning. But we'll see. Either way, it's going to be interesting because I think we have a lot of really good teams, so it could go a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think your dad seems good. I mean, it's definitely solid, but it depends on a lot of teams like
Hmm.
performing, like
Yeah,
the Jaguars
and
mainly.
people say yeah, definitely the Jaguars, and he's just like I mean all those teams. People have to stay healthy.
Yeah,
There's still
David
plenty
Montgomery as well.
still
Yeah.
plenty of time left for people to get hurt, unfortunately. All right. Well, the next thing we wanted to discuss was basically the most talked about topic maybe ever. We're thinking
Taylor
about
Swift.
yes. I meant for our league. Um, we have some ideas for either rule changes or rule implementations to help deter people from
Thank you.
making poor decisions on tanking, because we believe there is a right way and a wrong way to do it, and we're going to try to figure out a way to prevent it from happening. So there's just rules in place. I know Nate and I had talked about the old on the old platform. We always had the league rules posted at the beginning, like at the beginning of the season, like the top of the boards. It was there, start roster, all that crap, and just when we went to sleeper, it didn't come with us, and not everybody has seen those rules. Um,
Right.
so I know Nate had an idea that we all kind of had discussed before, and then I had another idea that I had heard on podcasts, and we're going to throw the rules out there and see what everyone thinks. So,
Yeah,
Nate.
and so yeah, I just want to set the stage here a little bit. So like these rules are in no way, shape, and form going to be implemented, or they may not be implemented at all.
Correct.
They may be discussed and talked about. They may be put to a vote. We have no idea. We're just throwing stuff out here right now, just to get some ideas and ideas from you guys as well, the other league members. Because if you guys have other leagues where this stuff is happening, we want to hear your inputs as well. Like we definitely don't want blatant taking, and we want to kind of make it fair for everybody, especially people. I mean, we've Crack and I have talked about this, Malcolm too. Like there are certain people that want to make the playoffs, and if people are tanking, it makes it that much easier for them to win their last two games if they're playing against somebody that's tanking, right? And then that stops somebody else from making the playoffs. So we want to be able to set a level playing field for everybody, and uh, these proposed rule changes could help, or they could not be beneficial at all. But so the first one we were talking about was obviously you must set a valid lineup. And obviously, we've already talked about that rule. We've put that rule in place. Yes, you must set a valid lineup. Um, Now, if people do not set a valid lineup, I don't think, and Malcolm and Craig, they've brought this up, they don't think that putting someone in that spot for them is the right thing to do. And I kind of agree with it. I don't think that I should be putting players in as a commissioner. That's your guys' job as your own, uh, you know, team owner to put your own players in. But so we've kind of have some infractions that we can set up here. So we were discussing, if a team does it the first time, we could take away 10 fab budget, so free agency budget from that player if they do it one time. If they do it a second time within the same season, then it's a $20 fab takeaway. And if they do it a third time, then they could possibly lose a third round pick or a fourth round pick. We're just throwing picks out there at this point. But if it does happen a third time, that's blatantly like they're doing it right in everybody's face. So we feel like, if it gets to that point, it needs to be punished with a pick at least.
Yeah, and I'll say we could put if that's something we all decide we want to do, we could put that to a vote of how harsh the pick is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I feel like you could have an argument for a lot of different, any of the picks really. You could argue, but like I know we had also said like obviously like people are gonna make mistakes and shit's gonna happen, so it's we wouldn't want to do anything without at least asking a person like, "Hey, do you realize you did this? What? Why did this happen?" kind of thing. So it's not just a, "Oh, we see this and we're just immediately going to start yanking people's fab." There would have to be at least a, "Hey, state your case."
Right.
It's pretty simple. Just
Yeah,
like
it's
don't be a dick.
yeah.
Just don't be a
Don't be a
dick.
dick.
You know what I mean? Like,
Like,
listen, if your season's over, you're 1-10, you got nothing to play for besides the number one pick or whatever. Like, we get it. Just put that a valid lineup. That's all we're asking. You know what I mean? Let's put some
Have
competitiveness
some,
in this still.
yeah, integrity.
There you
Integrity
go, some
farm.
if you want to
integrity.
start
Yeah, we want some
two
integrity.
backup, if you want to start two backup tight ends in your flex spot, do it.
Yeah,
Like,
like
go
we're
for
not
it.
telling you this. Yeah, like we understand, but to just take people out
That's
mid game because you have the potential to win, it's kind of
Mm.
crossing the line.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first one. I just want to throw that in there before we got too far. Go
Yeah.
on.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
we were kind of talking pre before the pod because with this scenario, like with taking away the fab, obviously it's a deterrent, it's a punishment, but it's not crippling either. And then obviously if we get to the picks part, we can all kind of decide,
How severe?
yeah, how severe. Which keep in mind that'd be like the third time it happens. So I don't know if a fifth rounder's enough, but we can talk about that
Yeah, and
if we
then
were to get to that point.
obviously if anyone goes past the third, it's just we find somebody else.
Yeah. If they continue to do it blatantly and they do it a fourth time or fifth time, like that's just enough. We don't need to have that level of maturity in our league. But
Yeah. Um, I think that
I
was
will say, like Malcolm did make a good point. Like, let's say, because like Malcolm doesn't have any fat budget right now, right? So like, if he was to do it and he was to get an infraction, we would wait until next year and then take 10 fat budget away from that team. And these are all hypotheticals, but stuff we've been discussing and stuff we've been talking about. So
But yeah, that essentially would be a rule implementation. We keep everything the same as we've always had it. Just, here's your penalties if people think you're fucking around with your roster enough to
right.
manipulate the outcomes of games. No,
Yeah, and the majority of the people in our league, like this would never apply to. Like this is nothing
Right.
that's
I
like,
mean, we've had
well,
at least a team tanking every single year. It's not like it's new. It's just the way it was done was new for our league. um, but yeah, so I think that's it for like that first one, and like the one I had heard on a podcast, it was conveniently the day all this was happening. They had kind of talked about in a dynasty league. What they had, the rule they'd implemented was for once the playoffs are decided, like they are based off record, any team that's not in the playoffs, that so the playoff team's draft order is decided by the playoffs. Everyone who does not make the playoffs, that draft order is decided by the total possible points earned for the year, so including your bench spots. So basically, it would encourage you to start a competitive lineup every single week so that you wouldn't have to essentially you could still essentially tank, lose your games, start a terrible lineup, but to me this way it allows the league to stay more competitive because it gives the teams that are literally scoring the lowest amount of points, who are essentially the worst teams, allow them to have better draft picks to build through the draft, and it'll force people to, if you have, like I was saying, my example from 2 years ago when I did it, like I could, if I were to have left Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill just on my bench all year and not play them, I'm still going to score too many points to get the first pick. So essentially, I have to trade those players to really tank. So like, if you're going to tank, you really have to tank. You can't just set a bogus lineup every week. And I think that allows kind of, I think Tom had said it in the chat. It keeps the waiver pool more active. It allows the league to be more active to promote trading and those types of things. And I think overall that's better for the league in the long run. But I also get there are some things about that aren't great. Like I know we had talked about if you have four quarterbacks on your roster, you're going to have inflated numbers. It doesn't necessarily mean your team's good. You just have players that score more points than everybody else. And so like you have those kind of things about it, but I still think overall it's a fairly fair way to do it, and it keeps it so people are still having to win games late in the season. Like you still are playing at least a fairly competent roster, and because once you get past the 8 games, if you only got 2 wins, you might as well set a great lineup every week. You're not making the playoffs and try to play spoiler. That shit sounds fun to me. Like, and you can still get your first overall pick while trying to, you know, be a roadblock for teams. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and it does kind of encourage trading too,
yeah,
because like let's say you're a lower ranked team and you have four quarterbacks and your numbers are inflated. You're like, why the hell am I doing this to myself? Let's trade one of these quarterbacks that's racking up points every week and get some, you know, rookie wide receiver or something for it that's
yeah.
not playing right now. I don't know.
Or you get a third round draft pick
Or you can,
and
or
do what you're trying
yeah,
to do.
draft
Tank
picks.
your building for the future. I mean, we see third round draft picks be awesome in our league all the time. There's value everywhere in the draft. It's just it's hard to find it. So that's like I think the route Nate and I have taken the last 2 years. Like hoard as many draft picks. The more opportunities I have to pick, the more likely I'm gonna hit somewhere. Like
Right.
to me, I think I maybe because it's more the way I would play the game is why I like it. But yeah, I mean, I know Malcolm's not too crazy about the idea. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I see certain scenarios where it could be disadvantageous um, for a team. Like, what if you're one of those teams? You know how like there's these years when you just seem to play the team that scores the most points
yeah,
um, every week, and you just take these losses. So let's say like that happens in like an extreme scenario, and you're like 2-10 or 2-11, whatever it is. But your team's good. You're scoring points. You just happen to be playing the teams that score more this week.
yeah.
So
No,
you're penalized. Like you could end up with the sixth pick and have like 2 wins.
yeah. But I mean, to me, I mean, if you're scoring that many points and you just are having bad luck that season, like it doesn't mean your team's bad. You know what I mean? Your team's still good.
Oh yeah, but like,
Yeah. It's just kind of like better luck next year.
Yeah,
oh,
like
but you know what's better luck having the number one pick and having the good seed.
yeah,
Like that's fun.
yeah. I mean, there's no matter what we do, there's always going to be a situation that's gonna probably be shit for somebody. Like I mean
No,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like I'm thinking if you're scoring literally having like the third highest amount of points scored, it's highly unlikely you're going to only win 2 games. You're not going to play the highest total every week. It's just statistically unlikely for that scenario, I think. But I get it. Like, it still can happen. Um, but yeah, there's always going to be some situation about where you're like, well, that kind of sucks for this person. So yeah, that's why it's more of a we got to try to figure something out, or maybe the answer is just we say going forward you have to set a fucking full lineup, and it is what it is. And if you break that rule, we get rid of you. It could be as simple as that too. So like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a complicated thing for us to make a decision. We just kind of have to do something that makes sure we don't have that happen again.
Integrity.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those are the ideas we've come up with. I don't know if Malcolm, you have another idea that you have thought of that you think could work, but
No, I mean I like the. I'm open to either, or if someone else has a better idea too. I think we're all in agreement that like we don't want what happened a couple weeks ago to happen again. But we also just don't want to become like
we also don't want to
big.
have too much oversight over what's happening every week. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to have to look at every roster every week and be like, oh, was this person cheating? Like I don't want to have to do that.
again, just don't be a dick. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
dick, man. Play your weeks every week.
But yeah, that kind of was the most of the topics we had. We didn't want to stress too much. Playoffs are here. That the exciting conversations will happen in the playoffs. um, anything in the actual football world that you're excited for?
Uh, I want
Not the
Fife
Cowboys.
to start. I want Fife to start polishing the trophy for his whoever he's gonna have to hand it over to. It's a dust off, man.
Well,
But in real football, I need Tony Pollard to score just once. I don't even have to win. I just need him to score.
Anything in real football.
I mean, other than like you were saying,
Yeah.
hopefully Dallas doesn't do well. But other than that, it's weird. Like
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't really have a whole lot. Other than my dad's a huge Eagles fan. Like I don't have a lot of reasons to hate Dallas, but it's just so easy.
Yeah.
Well, you've met Dallas fans,
It's just so
so
easy to hate.
it's
I
not
mean,
it's not hard.
so like I've talked about this with my dad. Like Dallas fans suck. Don't get me wrong; they're terrible to be. Like I've had two Bucks games having to deal with Cowboys fans. They're not fun. Nobody is. The Eagles fans are brutal too, man. Like it was so funny when we were in the stadium. Someone tries. This was earlier in the year when we're not. The Bucks were like barely over 500. Or no, this is week 2 or whatever. So we still didn't have a lot of hope at the time. We still thought we were gonna suck. And you hear someone in the column go Tampa, and then it's just like a very unenthusiastic bay back, and then just out of nowhere, on unison, every Eagles fan in the stadium, I was just like, that's what fans sound like. I was like, that was pretty cool. And then, but by far, Bills fans are the worst, man. I absolutely hate being at games with Bills fans. They suck.
What?
They suck so much.
Yeah,
A
I'd say
rowdy
going to
man.
that game, that was incredible. I've never experienced a game like that where it's just nonstop. You stand up the whole time and everybody's yelling
Oh, I bet if you're a
as loud
Bills
as they
fan,
can.
it's the greatest thing ever.
Oh, it was electrifying, honestly.
I just remember because the one we were at was the one where Brady was still there, and like the whole time, all they did was be like, "Oh yeah, you all or nothing without Brady." I'm like, "You still don't have any Super Bowls, bitch. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't care how we got them, we have them. Shut up." Like, uh, but yeah, the NFL season is. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that exciting this year. It's like, yep, the same 4 teams are pretty good.
Yeah, I know.
Half the QBs are hurt.
Yeah, it just for whatever reason doesn't seem as exciting this year. You got Cowboys are like, oh, the Cowboys are gonna be great again. It's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see when wild card week comes.
Just beat a team over 500, and then we'll talk.
For real. Um, I mean, realistically, if we win the division, they're gonna probably be in Tampa for the wild card week because they're not gonna win their division.
Mm.
I don't know if I want to see that
Nope.
again.
No, I don't think I want to be there for that again either. What if just Baker just boom comes alive, starts dealing everywhere? I don't even know how he's going to play this week hurt. But anyways, we're going too long on nonsense now. This is our shortest podcast ever. We're less than 30 minutes. So
Less than 30.
well,
God, we need Lucas back.
well.
Where's Lucas?
Where's Lucas? I know he's the long-winded one.
No, seriously, where
He's
is
at
he?
Club
Do they go
Paris
to
right
like
now,
He's
a
at
living it up.
Club Paris.
Club Paris? That's where Racetrack takes their employees? Wow. I might be looking at a job for a racetrack. Jeez.
Well, all right,
Um,
gentlemen. That will be the end of it.
well,
You guys want to say
yeah,
anything else?
I want to say one thing. Let's look forward to some really great vibes on the Sunday touchdown parlay for the Hard Rock Bet app.
And let's see how many of you make it this far to hear about it.
Well, I'm thinking like if we get enough people this time, I'm thinking we split it into two parlays.
Ooh.
So do like three on
That's not
one
bad.
parlay, three on another. Whoever hits, hits.
We'll get the odds, get the plus money, people, guys.
Let's
Let's
do it.
let's let's really try to take these native money. You know what I mean?
Let's do it. They've got us so much. That's a different that's a different podcast. All right. Good day. Good day.
Good day, Meg.
Peace.